Hello, guys, and welcome back to Joe's Ventures. And today we're doing another part of our Planet Zoo mod spotlights, where we take a look at some of the wonderful mods people have been making and use them to talk about some of the wonderful biodiversity that we share our world with. So today we've got a couple remasters, we've got a couple primates, a few primates actually, a couple birds. We all know and love them. But we're going to be starting off today with Scott, who is renowned for making exhibit animals. We have got a new type of butterfly. We have got the Bhutan Glory. So let's have a look at these guys. And now that opened up on a beautiful one there. So Bhutan, or Bhutanus lundudali. These guys are also known as the Bhutan Glory. They are a species of swallowtail butterfly, which is found in Bhutan, parts of northeastern India, and Southeast Asia. They're a spectacular insect and much sought after by collectors, and the species epithet is named after Dr. R. Linderdale, whose collection of the birds of the butterfly was first described by William Stephan Atkinson in 1873. So listed under CITES Appendix 2, the status of these butterflies has been called a rare, but they are considered at least concern in 2019 by the Red Book of the ICN. So you can see they've got very, very interesting colours to them. The sexes, or male and female, are both pretty much identical in appearance. They have long, rounded forewings and convex termen and many-tailed hind wings. The butterfly is a dull brown in appearance and dark black above, with slim, wavy, cream-coloured striations running vertically along the wing. Above the hind wing is a prominent large tonal patch, as you can see, with yellow-orange lules bordering the tail, along with central bluish black patches and white oceline and crimson discal band on the inside as well. And below the base is colour is grey and the striations more coloured subdued. You can see it's mostly black. We can also see there's little bits of red and orange coming through, which is real cool. And they have a wingspan of 90 to 110 millimeters, so about 9 to 11 centimeters. So in terms of distribution, these butterflies are found in Bhutan and northeastern India, around Sikkim, Manipur, and Nagaland. They're also found in northern Myanmar, Thailand, Vietnam, Laos, and the Sichuan and Yunnan provinces of China. And there's a total of 4 subspecies, with type subspecies or nominate subspecies being found in Bhutan. Spinosa is found in China. Octo malancata is found in northern Thailand. And Naboshone is found in Myanmar. So in terms of its status, it is considered rare by Indian authorities, with the nominate subspecies protected under law. However, Collins and Morris in 1985, in the ICN Red Data Book, one of on the threatened swallowtails, it is insufficiently known, but arguing because it's widely distributed, and it's hence unlikely to be in danger because of that wide distribution. Though in 2019 it is listed as least concern. And habitat loss due to extensive felling of forests may be a significant threat to these guys. Habitat loss, as I mentioned, the Thai subspecies, though, found in northern Thailand around Chulamar, is considered to be a relic population, and hundreds of specimens were collected annually from there, though that population now believed to be extinct due to the loss of populations and damage to the habitat by forest fire. And there it's considered currently endangered. So this species is typically found between 5 and 9,000 feet, or between 1,500 to 2,700 meters above in its Indian range, and is generally found in the ridges rather than the valleys. In terms of its habits, they fly at tree-top level, with a slow, drifting, unpredictable flight akin to those of the tree nymph. And the butterfly's transparent greyish underside actually makes it difficult to distinguish from the shadows. And during rain, it sits on leaves with its forewings drooped over the hind wings, concealing its brighter upper coloration. And the butterfly has a habit of hill-topping to visit flowers of diverse species. So in terms of its life cycle, it is known to have 2 broods, the first being in May and June, and the second being October to August. August to October. And likely is unpalatable due to the plants it eats. And the larva tends to feed on the Astrolacata plants, also known as kind of pipe vine or Dutchman's pipe vine, those kind of plants. So they'd like to eat them. But yeah, another really cool species. We'll have a look at it flying, because why not? Let's see if we can find one flying. There we are, there's one flying. Really, really awesome species. Definitely a big fan. So we're going to keep on keeping on. We're going to have a look at now. Monsoon has done a couple remasters of a couple mods. So have a look here. We have got the Eastern Javan Langur, or Trachypithecus antarctus, also known as the Ebony Lutung, the Javan Langur, or the Javan Lutung. These guys are a species of old world monkey in the Columbine family. And you can see they're mostly a black, like this color, glossy black with brownish tinge on their legs, sides, and sideburns. They are found in the islands of Java, as well as some of the surrounding islands around Java. And its Latin name is Atarus, means golden, and actually refers to this. So this is a least common variant where the babies actually retain their juvenile colors and then grow up to be kind of like a golden color. They are, this is less common variant. The common name golden langur refers to a different species. So like all species of langur, they have quite a long tail that is quite noticeably long, with measuring up to about 98 centimeters in length, while the body is only about 55. The two subspecies of monkey are fairly similar in appearance, but are geographically separated, with males and females usually being a glossy black, although the female is a pale yellowish-white patch around a pubic area. But juveniles of both subspecies are orange in color, and we'll look at juvenile if we can find one. And as I mentioned before, these little juveniles is quite cool, but there's a nominate subspecies, there's a rare morph, where they do not actually lose their juvenile coloration, and they will become golden, and they mainly darken slightly. So you can see a lot of those golden ones are actually just the color morph of them, not losing their adult colors. But in terms of their habitat, the Eastern Javan langur inhabits the interior or peripheral areas of rainforests, and like other langurs, they are diurnal and arboreal. So their diet is primarily herbivorous, eating things like leaves, fruits, flowers, and flower buds, although they do eat insect larvae as well. And like other columbine species, they have evolved a special stomach to digest plant material much more effectively. And they also have enlarged salivary glands to help better break down food in their mouths before they eat it, of course. Let's have a look at that wonderful langur. Another really awesome mod. These mods are just getting better and better and better. Nice to see some cool remasters. In terms of behavior, though, they are, like other langurs, they are very social, living in groups of about 7 individuals with 1 or 2 adult males in the group. Although they will look after the offspring of other mothers as well as their own, adult females are aggressive to outsiders or females from other groups. And the brighter coloration of the juveniles is believed to alert their females to their presence and ensure that they are protected and noticed. The species as well has no real discernible mating season, and females produce about 1 offspring at a time. So it really just depends, but for the most part, they just kind of do their own thing. But yeah, you can see it's been remastered. It looks quite a bit nice. I love the new fur cards. Monsoon, I love people going back and really giving some of their older mods some love. They really do deserve it. But next up, we've got another remaster. We've got Gee's Golden Langur, another really cool langur, which is called Trachypithecus Geei, or Grey. So this is Gee's Golden Langur. Well, have a look at a male, actually. Have a look at this guy. So also, they're just simply known as the Golden Langur, funnily enough. These guys are an old world monkey found in a small region of western Assam, India, and at the neighboring foothills of the Black Mountains in Bhutan. So they were long considered actually sacred by many Himalayan peoples. The golden langur was actually first brought to the attention of the Western world by naturalist Edward Filchard Gee in the 1950s. So that's quite interesting as well. And there's kind of 2 different subspecies, but they're separated by geographical fault. But I'm not sure how true they actually are. But anyway, these guys are very interesting colors, if you do say so yourself. Many commenters have noticed that their uncanny gaze, which is actually quite human-like, and this is likely due to the light colour of the sclera in their eyes, which is seen in humans and some other great apes. The coat of the adult golden langur ranges from a cream to golden colour, with its flanks, chest, and the hairs being darker, with often a rust-coloured, while the coats of the juveniles are lighter, silvery white to light buff. And the coat changes colour seasonally, from white to cream colour in the summer to dark golden chestnut in the winter. and their long whiskers protect their eyes from the rains during the monsoon season. And the golden langur xingxi has like a black face and a large whirl of hair as its crown, so you can see it's almost got big evil, supervillain eyebrows. These guys also do exhibit sexual dimorphism, so males are larger and more robust than females. Adult males weigh about 10.8 kilograms or 24 pounds on average, or adult females are about 9.5 or 21 pounds on average. The length of the head to body ranges from about 50 to 75 centimeters or 20 to 30 inches, while the relatively long tail is 70 to 100 centimeters or about 28 to 39 inches. In terms of distribution, they are found at approximately about 30,000 square kilometers, or about 12,000 square miles, much of which is actually unsuitable habitat. A lot of their habitat is very much bordered. As I mentioned, they're found in Bhutan and in northern India. A lot of them is blocked by things like highways and things like that, which is a big issue. Some populations, the northern population is believed to be about 5,000, 6,000 individuals, with the southern population, which is much more fragmented, about 1,000, just under 2,000 individuals. So they're trying to work with them there. In terms of their behavior and ecology, for the most part, they are confined to high trees, where their long tail actually serves as a balancer to allow them to climb around and do things, where they leap from branches. During the raining season, they tend to obtain water from dew or rain-drenched leaves. And they are herbivorous, so their diet consists of ripe fruit and unripe fruit, mature or young leaves, seeds, buds, and flowers. And generally, they do live in troops of about 8, with a ratio of several females to each adult male. The smallest golden langur troops is composed of about 4 individuals, while the largest is about 22, giving an average of about 8 individuals per troop, with the adult sex ratio being about 2 to 3 females for every male, although the majority of groups only have 1 adult male. So these guys are considered currently endangered, with the total population of mature adults tend to be 6,000 to 6,500, with it being declining as well, and is actually considered one of the most endangered primate species in India, Bhutan. But luckily in India, most of its population is found in reserves, though their population is still considered to be declining and has declined more than 30% in the last 30 years and is continuing to do so. But they are luckily protected in most areas where they live, so that's good as well. But within India, there's lots of projects to actually plant things like guava, mango, and blackberries, other fruit trees, to ensure that langurs don't actually have to venture out of the forests, so they don't have to risk their lives to find food, as several golden langurs have been died due to electrocution and in road accidents while looking for food beyond the reserve. And there has been some groups that actually been introduced back into the wild. In 1988, 2 captive groups of golden langurs were released back into the wild in 2 protected areas in India. And as of 2000, one of these groups, which contains about 6 individuals, is actually still surviving, though the relative death of infants and juveniles indicate there is a declining population being degraded by human activity. The fragmented but protected population in the rubber plantation and the Nakoanjan province, over there, there's a population of about 30 individuals that has actually learnt to deal with rubber seeds, and is increased to actually 52 individuals in 2002. So they seem to be doing okay there, so that's quite cool. But yeah, that's Gee's Golden Langur. Those were both done by Monsoon, but we've got another mod by Monsoon today, but it is not a monkey, it is a bird. So we've got a really cool one here. We have got the Maleo. So let's have a look at the Maleo. So the Maleo, or Macrocephalon maleo, these guys are a large species of macropode and the only member of the monotypic genus Macrocephalon. So this species is endemic or only found in Sulawesi and on a couple of nearby islands of Bhutan and Indonesia. They are found on tropical lowland and hill forests, but nest in sandy areas. So we'll talk about a little about their behavior and their biology, which is quite interesting. So in terms of the description, the Maleo ranges from about 55 to 60 centimeters, or about 20 to 24 inches long, with black plumage, bare yellow facial skin, reddish-brown iris, reddish-orange beak, and rosy salmon underparts. The crown is ornamented with a prominent bony dark casque, you can see, almost like that of a cassowary. So it's basically just the casque. And that's where it gets its name Macrocephalon, which basically means large head, because it looks like it's got a big brain, but it's just a casque. It's just, a bit of keratin and things like that. The greyish-blue feet have 4 long, sharp claws, which are separated by a membranous wing. The sexes are almost identical, but the females are slightly smaller and slightly duller. But juvenile birds are largely brown with brownish with pale heads, with short blackish brown crests along them. So you can see the baby here. It gives you a good idea of what they look like. Little baby maleo. They've got really cool anatomy and survival to them. So in terms of their behavior and ecology, the maleo's eggs are actually quite large, about 5 times as large as that of domestic chickens. The females will lay and cover each egg in a deep hole in the sand that allows incubation to take place through solar or volcanic heating. After the eggs hatch, the young birds work their way up the sound and hide in the forest. They are very precocial, which means they're pretty much ready to ride out of the egg, so they're able to fly and totally independent and fade further themselves. And they must find food and defend themselves from predators such as monitor lizards, cats, wild pigs, and reticulated pythons. In terms of their breeding, they are monogamous. So members of a pair stay close to each other at all times, and their diet consists of fruit, seeds, mollusks, ants, termites, and beetles, but along with a lot of other small invertebrates. So in terms of their breeding and habitat, this species is endemic to the Indonesian island of Sulawesi, and they're typically not present above 1,000 meters in altitude, so they tend to prefer lowland hills and rainforests. Ideal nesting locations of these guys are things like riverbanks, lake shores, or coastal areas of the island, and they are communal nesters, so they tend to nest together. Maleos breed all year round, but peak breeding season varies depending upon the location of the island. When prepared to lay her eggs, the female maleo, which is accompanied by her mate, will leave the cover of the forest in search of historic coastal breeding grounds. And females can lay anything between 8 to 12 eggs over the course of a year. And once an optimal spot is chosen, the maleos will dig a deep hole and lay the eggs inside. And after the egg is laid, the parents will kind of bury the egg securely in the sand, sometimes covering it in sand and other debris to better camouflage the hole. And after it's been buried, unlike most birds, these are pretty bad parents. They'll just go off and do their own thing. The parents will leave and never to return. And they leave we'll have a look at a male. Why not? Oh, I can't believe I got this luck. Anyway, so that's when they, go off and they never see their children again. The hot sand of Sulawesi actually acts as an incubator for the eggs, which are warmed by either geothermal heat or solar heat. And the maleo chicks are completely self-sufficient only after hours of hatching, and for this reason the eggs are approximately 5 times larger than that of a chicken egg. And they contain pretty much nearly fully formed maleos inside, and they must dig their way up out of the sand after hatching and have the ability to fly and feed themselves pretty much right out of the box, which is pretty cool. But in terms of their conservation, they are sadly considered critically endangered. A large number of their former nesting sites have been abandoned as a result of egg poaching and land conversion for agriculture. Of about 142 known nesting grounds, only 4 of them are considered non-threatened. The shrinking and fragmentation of habitats on the island, such as forests, is a real big threat to their population as well. Wildfires as well has been clearing large areas of forests as well. And there's also become quite a bit of isolation between non-breeding habitats and coastal breeding grounds because of human development blocking the path, and because of this, mortality risk associated with moving to the breeding grounds has drastically increased. But since 1972, the species has been protected by the Indonesian government. And as of 2005, there's believed to be only about 4,000 to 7,000 breeding pairs in the wild, but the numbers are radically declining. But luckily, there are areas where they're trying to protect, breeding property and create corridors for them to move, and also educating locals about their endangered status and trying to prevent people from harvesting their eggs. And their eggs are not really a staple diet, but is considered a delicacy. So not really trying to help the population at the moment. And there actually has been some people to manage to breed them in zoos, thanks to Alana O'Sullivan, who is a senior keeper of ornithology at the Bronx Zoo, as one of the only places in the world where maleo exist outside of Indonesia, and breeding efforts have taken place as well. A breeding pair of maleos at the Bronx Zoo was actually featured on Animal Planet's show The Zoo, and O'Sullivan appeared and talked about the species and the threats they face, and she also lamented that most people don't know they exist. Details about them not yet mentioned, as they have elaborate courtship rituals and loving peanuts. It's easy to tell when the female will lay her egg because she'll lose interest in everything else, including peanuts, to the point that keepers will know she'll lay her egg in 24 hours. Yeah, that's quite cool. Sadly, should have more in captivity, but it's nice that there's a lot of work in them in the wild. But yeah, sadly, critically endangered. But yeah, really, really awesome species and another great mod by Monsoon. Definitely love it. So next up, we've got a couple mods done by Great Cakes. I know we always love to talk about Great Cakes. So let's have a look at the Great Blue Turaco, done by Great Cakes Mods. So you can find an adult there. That one's elderly. Adult. We'll have a look at you there, because I think you look quite pretty. So this is the Great Blue Turaco, or Corytholola cristata. This is a species in the family Musophagidae, or the Turacos. They're quite cool birds. They are actually considered the largest species of Turaco. So they were first described by French ornithologist Louis Pierre Vallot as Musophaga cristata in 1816, before German ornithologist Ferdinand Hein placed them in their own genus in 1860. And the Great Blue Turaco is the sole member of the subfamily Corytholidae within their family, and their common ancestor of both diverged, or the ancestor of all the Turaco species. They're considered quite basal. And their other name is the blue plantain eater, but I like the Great Blue Turaco quite a bit better. Generally, the Great Blue Turaco is about 70 to 76 centimeters, or about 28 to 30 inches in length, with a mass of between 800 to 1,231 grams, or between 1.7 to 2.7 pounds, so quite big. The adult blue-grey Turaco has a predominantly grey-brown underparts with an upright blue-black crest, white chin, yellow-green lower breast, and yellow belly darkening to chestnut posteriorly, so you can see kind of the changes in there on their belly. The upper culverts are chestnut, and the undertail is black and yellowish, with the yellow bill having an orange tip, and the eyes are brown with a ring of bare skin around them. The legs and feet are black with yellow soles, and both sexes have very similar plumage, so they basically look the same. In terms of the distribution habitat, they range from Guyana in the west, east across sub-Saharan Africa, to the Imbo Mountains of South Sudan. They also occur in Uganda, Tanzania, and western Kenya, south of to the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Angola, where they live in rainforests and gallery forests. And they have been shown to adapt to areas cleared by humans, so they've been known to thrive in these areas, which is also quite good. These guys are gregarious species, so they tend to live in groups, and they live in small troops of about 6 to 7 individuals. In terms of feeding, they do feed on leaves, flowers, as well as fruit of many species, such as ficus trees, guavas, mysteries, and things like that. So they have a wide variety of stuff that they eat. Fieldwood actually shows about 25% of their diet is leaves, while being eaten more often when fruit is less abundant. And these species, like other many fruit-eating species, perform a role as being seed dispersers, where they're able to fly away and spread the seeds away from the parent plant much further than it would be able to do normally. In terms of breeding, though, the species tends to nest in trees between 8 to 25 meters, or 26 to 82 feet above the ground, as the nest is in a platform of sticks, with both sexes incubating a clutch of about 1 to 3 eggs, over about 29 to 31 days, and the eggs are typically a whitish or greenish white with an almost round, measuring about 46 to 50 millimeters by 41 to 43 millimeters, or between 1.8 to 2 inches by 1.6 by 1.7 inches. So in terms of their interactions with humans, they are highly regarded as food in West Africa, and are often hunted and eaten by local peoples. So the Bamambala and related tribes around the town of Kigawat in the Democratic Republic of the Congo call them the Konvolo, and their meat is popular in smaller villages, and their long tails, feathers are prized for decorations. And the Mbuti people in the Congo actually consider the Great Blue Turaco to be associated with the Kapis, which they warn of danger by calling loudly. It is also believed that eating the species while pregnant may actually result in a difficult delivery or birth deformity, and is also a clan totem animal, and as such cannot be eaten by members of that clan, and if they do, their teeth are said to fall out. So that'll be quite interesting. But yeah, really, really cool species. Love talking about these guys. So that's another Great Cakes mod, done and dusted. And we've got another one here So this is a very much different species. We're going to the passerines now. We've got here the thick-billed... where's the juvenile? I'll have a look at adult. This is the... I'll actually quickly fix this while we do that. No. So here we've got the thick-billed raven. So the thick-billed raven, or Corvus crassirostris, these guys are a corvid found in the Horn of Africa, and shares with the common raven the distinction of being the largest bird in the corvid family. The thick-billed raven averages about 64 centimeters, or about 25 inches in length, with a range of about 60 to 70 centimeters, about 24 to 28 inches, and weighs approximately 1.15 kilograms, or about 2.5 pounds in females, and about 1.5 kilograms, or 3.3 pounds in males on average. The size is about the same as the largest subspecies of common raven, found in like the Himalayas or Greenland and Canada, but some common raven subspecies are rather smaller, going on average weights. These guys are likely the heaviest extant passerine. And the thick-billed raven actually is considered 25% heavier than the average, on average than the Australian superbelia bird, which is sometimes given the title as the largest passerine. They have a very large bill, where they get their name, the thick-billed raven, that is laterally compressed, so it's very tall, as you can see there, and is deeply curved, that gives it quite a distinct appearance. This bill is actually the largest of any passerine. It's about 8 to 9 centimeters, or about 3.1 to 3.5 inches in length, and it's black with that white tip that you can see there, and has deep nasal grooves and only light nasal bristle covers. This raven also has very short feathers on the head, throat, and neck, and the throat and upper breast have an oily brown gloss to them, while the rest of the bird is kind of a black, typical of most ravens, except for that typical, that distinctive white patch on their head and neck, which is on the nape. So that's cool. These guys don't have a huge range, but they're found in Eritrea, Somalia, and Ethiopia, where they live in the highlands. The habitat includes mountains and high plateaus between elevations of between 1,500 and 3,400 feet, and it's one of the several avian species endemic to northeastern tropical Africa. So in terms of their diet, like other corvids, they are omnivorous. They feed on grubs, beetle larvae from animal dung, carrion, scraps of meat, and also human food. They have been seen taking standing wheat, and when seeking food from dung, they actually will kind of use a scything motion to scatter the dust and the dung and extract the grubs. In terms of nesting, they do tend to nest in trees or cliffs, building a stick nest that is very similar to that of the more widely distributed and better studied white-necked raven. They typically lay between 3 to 5 eggs, and in one case, they actually were observed vigorously displacing predatory Varensis eagle owls from their nest area. So that's quite interesting. In terms of its voice, very typical of crows. They have a harsh nasal croak, a low wheezy croak, a raven call, and sometimes a dick call. And like many corvids as well, they're able to mimic voices. However, this behavior is rare in the wild and is normally recorded really only in captivity. So they're able to copy sounds pretty well. So that's pretty cool for them as well. Really, really cool. Definitely a big fan. Love a good thick-billed raven. This is a species I've wanted to see for a while. I just like the look of them. I like the big beak and everything. Looks really, really cool. But yeah, we got Monsoon coming back with another primate to finish us off. Last but certainly not least, definitely, we've got the lion-tailed macaque. So let's have a look at this guy, which has got a very ironic name, as we'll get into. So the lion-tailed macaque, which is Macuta silensis, also known as the wanderoo, is an old-world monkey endemic to the Western Ghats of South India. Actually, have a look at this male here. We actually like to look at the male. Nope, that's not what we wanted. Nope, not even. There we are, that's better. So lion-tailed macaques are covered in black fur, and you can see have the striking grey or silver mane going on here that surrounds their face in both sexes. The face itself, though, is hairless and is black in adults, but is pinkish in infants less than a year old. Infants are born with no mane, but they begin to grow their manes after about 2 months after birth, and they're not named for their mane. Like a more appropriate name would definitely be like the lion-maned macaque. They're actually named for their tail. So they have a long, thin tail that is long, thin, and naked, like a lion tail, and have a lion-like black tuft at the tip. So that little tuft at the tip of the tail, very much looks like a lion, where they get the name lion tail. The size of their tail is about 25 centimeters, or about 9.8 inches, and their eyes are a shade of hazelnut with highlighting black eyelids. So lion-tailed macaques, like other macaque species, have deep cheek pouches used for storing food, and are quadrupedal with opposable digits. So they walk on all fours, but have a thumb that they can use, to grasp things. The mane that surrounds the face of this monkey gives its German name the Botafi, which means beard ape. And with a head to body length of about 42 to 61 centimeters, or about 17 to 24 inches, and a weight of 2 to 10 kilograms, or 4.4 to 22 pounds, it ranks actually one among some of the smaller macaque species. So in terms of its habitat, these guys tend to live in tropical forests, like a rainforest dweller. They live in the upper canopy of tropical rainforests or monsoonal forests. It is diurnal, so they are active during the day. And when active, they typically spend half the day foraging or eating, and the other half resting and finding new areas to, forage. The species does tend to avoid humans as well, but because, of course, of habitat destruction and things like that, they can become habituated and sometimes come into conflict with humans. In terms of group behavior, the lion-tailed macaque is much like other macaques, living in a hierarchical group of about 10 to 20 members, which consists of a few males, typically 1 to 3, but there will be a dominant male in that group, and many females. They have a polygamous mating system with no specific breeding season, though they tend to breed more in the west season, where resources are more abundant, and little time is actually spent grooming or playing compared to a lot of other primates. They are quite a territorial animal and defend their areas first with loud cries and braid teeth, but as this proves fruitless, they will fight and they will cause several bad injuries and lacerations with using their canines. And other forms of communication can be a form of mounting to show strength, branch shaking to scare off, lip smacking as a friendly gesture, and yawning with a grimace to indicate dominance. So, like a lot of monkeys smiling, like even though humans we like to smile, and it's a happy thing, for monkeys it can be very much like an aggression thing, like you want to go, show off my teeth, you want to go kind of thing. So lion-tailed macaques are characterized by typical patterns of arboreal living. They tend to selectively feed on a large variety of fruit trees, with large individual spaces while foraging, and time budgets with high portions of time devoted to exploring and feeding. These guys are omnivores, primarily eating indigenous fruits, seeds, flowers, insects, snails, and small vertebrates in the virgin forests. Well, they've actually changed. I'll have a look to a female this time. But sadly, however, due to changes in their environment, adaptation to rapid environmental changes have occurred due to the massive logging and sort of their habitat. There's actually mean they had to do a lot of changes and selective logging, things like that, and broaden their food choices. And these can include eating a large increase of food from the ground and feeding on much more native plants and insects. So they'll feed on fruits, seeds, plinths, flowers, cones, mesocarps, and other parts of many on non-indigenous or pioneer plants. They've also been observed eating the nestlings and eggs of pigeons. So that's another really cool thing as well. For these cute little babies, as you can see, they just started to grow their manes. They typically gestate in their mother for about 6 months, and the young are nursed for a year. Sexual maturity is reached at about 4 years of age for females and about 6 for males, and the life expectancy in the wild is approximately about 20 years, while in captivity they can live up to 30. So these macaques, even though they can be preyed upon by things like snakes, raptors, and large carnivores, most of their threats come from people. So the impact on natural populations, on natural predators, is actually not considered the largest threat. So the largest threat to these guys is habitat fragmentation, due to the large amount of timber harvesting and cutting down for plantations, such as tea and coffee plantations. And this leads to many problems as they struggle to find food. They often get hit by cars and get electrocuted by power lines looking for food. Also, due to this fragmentation, because they're so isolated, they can get highly susceptible to inbreeding. And the second threat is humans hunting and trapping them for their meat, especially in areas where their primates are actually preferred food. There's also many human-primate conflicts occurring now due to macaques venturing out to find out of their forests to find food, so they're getting into contact with people and cause issues. But yeah, we'll talk about the conservation. So, an assessment of 2003 reports about 3,000 to 3,500 of these animals living scattered across several areas of the Western Ghats. They rank now, at the time, among the rarest and most threatened primates, and their range has become increasingly isolated and fragmented due to the spread of agriculture for tea, coffee, teak, and canola plantations, construction of water reservoirs and irrigation and power generation, and human settlements that support these activities. From about 1977 to 1980, public concern about the endangered species of this macaque, the endangered status of this macaque, had actually become a focal point for the Save Silent Valley, which is India's most fiercest environmental debate of the decade. From about 1993 to 1996, 14 troops were observed in Silent Valley National Park, and one of the most undisturbed viable habitats left for them. Silent Valley has the largest number of these macaques in South India, though there are a lot of other reserves that do have them. A self-sustaining population of about 32 groups of the macaques have been found in the Sirisi-Hombana area, which is the northernmost population of the species. A local census consists of the population is about 250, which is encouraging, but until then there were none actually reported in that area. They're also prominently found in a few other areas of the reserves around the place, and there are many zoos actually taking part in these programs. And breeding programs that secure the species, and it's believed about 338 macaques are reported to live in zoos. However, they actually now considered no longer one of the most endangered primates in the world, after an international body compiling it determined actually considered that the local governments of India have actually done a great job of actually helping to act proactively to, positively to help the species. So they've done a really good job, and I really love how macaques, this monsoon has done on this macaque, with the lovely nice mane, nailed the fur cars and everything, but yeah, really, really awesome. So, I think this will be a great place to end the video for today, so I'm going to thank everyone. I've got to thank you, Great Cakes. You've done a really awesome job as always. Monsoon, really doing a great job, and I love that you're going back and redoing and remastering some of your older mods. I think that's really cool, give them a little bit of extra love as your skills improve. And yeah, thank you, Scott. I always love exhibit mods, and it's really cool that we get to have some today. But yeah, I really, really, really hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I hope you guys like and subscribe. Always remember to hit the little bell icon to get notified about anything. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, hope you guys like and subscribe, and bye-bye.